That's very true. Although, you know, let me say the following. If you know what you're doing and you work with the right lender, things can be fairly simple. And the reason that I say that is, prior to doing this, I had been on the residential side working with first time home buyers, FHA, VA, conventional loans. And if I compare this to this type of lending, it's fairly simple because what it really comes down to is the following. First of all, we don't loan to individuals. So you could technically set up an LLC today and buy a property tomorrow.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guest, Fred Shatzoff, is a commercial lending advisor out of New Jersey who helps investors secure fast, flexible financing for real estate, specifically fix and flip, BRRRR, and buy and hold properties. He specializes in common sense underwriting, fast closing, and investor-focused funding solutions, and he's active across multiple U.S. markets. You can find him at fredbizloans.com. That's fredbizloans.com. Fred, thanks for taking the time today.
Thank you very much. It's nice to meet you. I'm glad to be here this morning with you.
When we talk specifically about, folks who may be newer to the space, there's so many options for lending. It can often seem like, analysis paralysis. Where do I turn to? As a commercial lender, I know that you're involved in a number of ways for investors to get help, really from setting up their entity in a way to then even these specific loans and guiding them through that process. I tend to think that a lot of times people make mistakes in that first portion of it, right? Which is, hey, I've got to have everything set up properly.
That's very true. Although, let me say the following. If you know what you're doing and you work with the right lender, things can be fairly simple. And the reason that I say that is, prior to doing this, I had been on the residential side working with first-time home buyers, FHA, VA, conventional loans. And if I compare this to this type of lending, it's fairly simple because what it really comes down to is the following. First of all, we don't loan to individuals. So you could technically set up an LLC today and buy a property tomorrow. That's number one. Number two, if you don't have experience, that's fine. We can guide you through the process. Third, we don't verify income because I have a lot of people say, well, I make $120,000 a year on my primary job. That really does not matter at all. We're not looking at your personal income. So you've got to qualify credit-wise. I have some programs that can go down as low as 640. Obviously, the better your credit score is, the better rates and terms that you're going to get. you're also going to need to have the money for down payment and closing costs. You're going to need skin in the game. But what it really comes down to is, do the numbers work? And what I mean by that is, on a fix and a flip is the ARV. Okay. So basically, if you are a real estate investor, first thing we want to know, obviously, we want to see what the address is. Make sure it's not a rural area. Make sure it's an okay area where we will lend. The next thing is, what is the purchase price? Then we want to know what the repairs are, what the after repair value. Once we have that, and you give us an approximate credit score, an approximate money that you have in the bank for the project, from there we can analyze the deal and we can determine, do you qualify? Again, it's all based upon the numbers.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
I want to ask you specifically about experience level when dealing with newer fix and flippers and investors in general. I think a lot of people coming into this space and looking at lending deal with, well, I haven't done a deal before, and in a lot of cases that tends to create challenges for them, whether it's finding a lender who will work with them or just understanding the process in general. Right? What's your approach to folks who have not done a fix and flip before?
Well, the first thing I'm going to tell them is, if you've not done a fix and flip before, I can definitely help you. I can hold your hand and walk you through the process. Now, obviously, if you're experienced, by that I mean 2 or 3 flips in the last 36 months, you may get a little bit better of a rate and a term. But if you're a new investor, you can still qualify. You just have to, be set up correctly. You have to have an LLC. You have to have some skin in the game. You have to have, verifiable assets. And you also have to, have a little bit of an understanding of the real estate investment market. Sometimes I'll say to somebody who's not done it before, maybe you may want to partner with somebody on the first deal, so someone can work with you, you know, and make sure that the numbers are correct. Because, the biggest issue is, they'll say, okay, we got $40,000 in repairs on a fix and flip. And then next thing you know, it ends up they end up spending $60,000. And, once the term of the loan is set, there's really nothing you can do. Now, obviously, we build a contingency in there of 10 to 15% above what they say. But, the lender also reviews the budget and may say to them, you may want to increase this, because you're too low on it. But, you really need to have a contractor involved, you know, if you're going to do this on a part-time basis, because they're going to know better what are the repairs, and try to establish a relationship with the local contractor. So at least, your numbers make sense.
Now, one of the things that people have difficulty with when they're getting started, if they're not doing the work themselves, is managing timelines, managing contractors, right? And so, for someone who is not personally swinging the hammer, how important is it to find someone almost in house or partner with someone who may be a contractor versus sub it out basically and oversee the project?
Well, you definitely want to look, if you're not doing this full time and you're not a contractor, you definitely want to have somebody overseeing the project and working with you, even if you're going to pay them a management fee. Because if you're not there overseeing and watching what the contractors are going to do, you know what? Things are not going to get done. They're not going to move at a speed. I mean, it's much like if you own a business and you're not active in the business, you know what? People steal from you, people rip you off. And that's really where you got to really be careful. So you really need to establish a strong relationship with a contractor and someone that you feel comfortable that can oversee the project, or partner with someone who maybe is a full-time investor, because that's the only way you're going to learn, because the numbers are really the most important thing here in real estate investing. Don't fall in love with the house. Don't get emotionally attached. It's not like when you're buying a house, it's a little bit different.
If you're looking for consistent, high quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Now, I understand that you're active across several markets. I know that you're based out of New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey. I certainly know that the barrier to entry in New Jersey, just the price points to get into these deals are going to be higher. Are you seeing less newer investors doing flips in New Jersey just because of that higher price point?
Absolutely. I mean, I see investors that live in New Jersey, but sometimes they're investing in Texas or Georgia or Alabama because, the price points are a lot cheaper, let alone it's very, very competitive here in the New Jersey, New York market, especially if you're, you know, a new investor, and you don't want to lose your shirt on your first deal.
Yeah, no, that would be very disheartening. And I know a lot of people who may have had that experience and they consider it a learning experience. I do want to
Absolutely.
pivot a bit here, though, Fred, and ask you specifically about buy and hold. I've seen now more and more people kind of pivot away from fix and flip. I can't speak for New Jersey, but I can speak for Texas, where I'm licensed as a realtor. And it's not that fix and flip is impossible to do by any standard, but it is trickier because you've really got to time things right. You're not exactly certain if it's going to sell in the time frame that you think it might sell in. So I've seen more people go to like a fix and hold, or put it out as a short-term rental or a long-term rental. When people are doing that strategy, the buy and hold or rehab buy and hold, is there anything specific that they need to take into account that might be different than, let's say, fix and flip?
Well, they do want to become familiar with the rental market and see what current rents are. The other thing I would recommend, if you're planning to hold on to something long term as a buy and a hold, I would recommend getting a two family or a three family or even a four family, because if you buy a single family and your tenant leaves, now you have no rent for maybe 60 days. Whereas if you have a multifamily, you still have the rent from the other apartment. So that's something to keep in mind as well to do that. You know, that's why a lot of, you know, investors really like the burst strategy, because you know, you do want to hold on to it because you want to create residual income for yourself as far as the rental coming in every month.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big differentiator there, right? If you've got two doors, three doors, four doors versus one door, that's going to be a game changer. And I think a lot of people too coming into the space might think, well, four doors is maybe a lot for me if I'm doing my first deal. But the price points are not necessarily drastically more for a quadplex versus a single family home in some cases. It can be shocking that, you would think it would be four times more because it's four doors, but it might
Right.
not be the case.
That's true. It really is a lot of times not four times more. And you have to really look at, how much money am I going to make on this property? Does price point matter? To a point, yes. But look, if you have the money for the down payment, or you buy something relatively inexpensive and that does not need major work, that's really the way to go. Because a lot of times, what happens if you buy something that needs a major rehab, it ends up taking a lot longer. You better try to buy something where there's not a lot of major rehab. Maybe it's carpeting, flooring. Yeah, maybe you need to upgrade the plumbing and the heating, but you don't want to do something where you got to do almost a tear down because that's where you really can end up losing your shirt.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
I'd like to ask you about folks who may be pivoting from one strategy to another. Let's say they're fix and flippers and they're realizing, hey, we've lost money on some deals. They're sitting for a while. Now they're looking at some other segments of real estate. Maybe they're thinking, hey, we'll do some larger multifamily, more than 4 units. Or maybe they're thinking, hey, we're not going to do fix and flip, but we are going to do maybe a buy and hold strategy. Do you have any feedback for those folks who may be finding themselves having to pivot right now?
Sure. I mean, yeah, you could certainly do a 5+ unit building. I wouldn't necessarily do, a mixed use. I would probably do an apartment building because, there's a lot of businesses going out of business. Again, the plus there is now you're going to have rental coming in from 6, 7, 8 units. And that's really where you're going to make a lot more profit on something. And, we can also help people like that. I mean, I actually have some programs where we're not going to verify assets. Obviously, before you apply, even though we're not verifying assets, the lender, I'm going to ask you to send me a bank statement because I want to see that you have the money. Because I certainly don't want you to get to the closing and you represented you have 60 grand. Now all of a sudden you're at the closing, you have $10,000. Now you wasted everybody's time. So even though they're not verifying that, but you also want to be a little familiar with what is current rentals in those areas. There could be some very good opportunities in the future with some rental properties coming due because there's a lot of balloons that are coming due. There's some people that want to get out of the market. So, you know, timing is everything. But again, it really comes down to the numbers more than anything else. You know, um, you know, what is the rent compared with what the mortgage payment is going to be? Certainly, the only time you might want to lose money on a property, suppose you owned a single family and now you got relocated from New Jersey to Florida, but you can't sell your house right away and you rent it out, and maybe you'll lose some money temporarily. But if you're on the investment side, the numbers have to work.
Yeah, there's no question, right? I mean, at the end of the day, each market's going to be different, and you've got to be able to underwrite for that market. And then also, you have to be able to understand, hey, am I being conservative here? If this plan A does not work, what's the plan B, right? And so I think a lot of
Correct.
people may have found themselves in trouble because they really thought, hey, this is going to work. It's been working for 5 years, right? Why would anything change? And so, of course, it inevitably does. And that's kind of the cyclical nature of this game. We are coming up on time here, though, Fred. Any new projects that you're working on? And then also, too, what's the best way for folks to get in contact with you?
Okay. Well, one of the things we've now hooked up with a number of lenders out there, especially on the fix and flip side, who do not require an appraisal. So we could literally have, you know, your approval and have you ready to close in 48 hours. And then obviously as quick as you get the title back to us, you can close very quickly because obviously in the past, when you needed an appraisal, you had to go to an appraisal management company and you really don't have a lot of control over that. So with no appraisal, I can submit the property to the lender and they can tell me usually within 24 or 48 hours, you know, will it work? Are the numbers okay? You could reach me a number of different ways. You could call me 551-272-9067. You could obviously go to my website, fredsbizloans.com, or you could email me, fredsbizloans.com. You can reach me after hours as well. I typically pick up the phone, 7, 8 o'clock, because sometimes I know that's the only time someone can talk.
Yeah, Fred, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.